This is a segment that I recorded a few months back with a good friend of mine, Ruiz. I originally connected with Joel through Thinkubator and have gotten to know him over the past year. Joel has his own business. He's a real estate agent, property manager, content creator, and just an all-around hustler. We talk all things real estate, property management, business, COVID-19, and Joel dives into his origin story, coming from New York City and now living in Utica. What's been going on? How's COVID affected everything you got going on?
First of all, thank you for having me, bro. Much appreciated, and shout out to you, media.
Appreciate it, bro.
Nah, man. I mean, how has COVID affected me? In regards to real estate, it's such an interesting aspect because real estate agents are not necessarily considered essential workers. But yet, everybody still is trying to sell their house. People are still trying to buy houses. People are trying to take advantage of the situation. Trying to either put a lower price range or a lower price tag on a house. So everybody's being affected one way or another. And in regards to property management, oh man, it's been insane. Just having to, I've had tenants that have lost their jobs, and they've just flat out told me, like, listen, I seriously cannot pay you for this month. That was last month. So now those people are behind 1 month, and now May is here, and June is around the corner. And so it's stacking up.
Yeah, so what does that trickle-down effect look like? Like, they're not paying the rent, landlords aren't getting the money they need.
Yeah, landlords, because landlords still have that mortgage, and the mortgage companies, so some of them have private lenders, and those private lenders they're not gonna tell you, oh, you're not gonna pay me this month. But yeah, man, I mean, a lot of the landlords, thank God, the ones that I work with have been really understanding. But yeah, everybody's just trying to bunker down. And
well, was it a federal mandate that they're not allowed to evict anyone?
Yeah, so we're not.
Is there a certain window on that?
Correct. Or? So it's supposed to be until June. I have to double check if it's early June or late June, but we're not allowed to evict anybody. And so what happens is just tenants are now adding up to a bill, because even though what the government should have done, they should have either forgiven or just placed a hold on all rents. But instead, what happened was, people have lost their jobs, and they're just being told that they cannot get evicted, which is different because now they start stacking up a debt against themselves, and that's even worse.
Until there's a further ruling, like, it's just going to become more and more of a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
So eventually that's either all going to have to be forgiven completely, or it's going to have to be paid back in some kind of installment.
Yeah, exactly. Which, it's tough.
No, it seems like there's going to have to be someone that steps up and really makes a educated and well thought out ruling on how this can be handled.
Yes, there's been some proposals out there of giving landlords a check for the year, because nobody really knows how long this is.
But then you got to calculate, because it's kind of an in-between area, half the people are paying, half aren't. So who's measuring,
right.
Okay, how much do they really need to be subsidized for? Because what if they receive 75% of the rent? It wouldn't make sense to give them a check for it.
And it's true. And I got to give a shout out to the Oneida County and also Section 8 here in Utica, because throughout all of these problems, they've been really good working with landlords, with myself, property managers, and they've just been keeping us updated. They've also sent their portion of the rent, to try to help out with the debt. But that's interesting.
But let me backtrack a little bit. I could rearrange this later, but just give me a little bit about your background and where you're from, how you ended up in Utica.
Yeah, of course. So I was born in the Dominican Republic. It's a small island in the Caribbean, shared with Haiti. I came to the United States when I was 10 years old, landed in the Bronx. So I grew up in the Bronx. I've lived in different places, Queens, Manhattan, but really the Bronx is my home. Went out there, graduated high school, went to college, LaGuardia Community College, and eventually I just figured it out that I couldn't. I was really struggling in New York City. I was having two part-time jobs, going to school full-time, paying rent, transportation, and one day I've heard of Utica. My cousin had purchased a home for like $2,000 from the city of Utica. And I was like, okay, wait, what is happening? So
That was a game changer, right?
it was a game changer, and she's younger than me too, which was pretty weird. So at the time, I kid you not, bro, I must have had maybe like $125 in my bank account, and I took a one-way trip here, and I just stood.
So you were in school at LaGuardia CC at that time, or?
I was actually going to John Jay.
Okay.
John Jay College of Criminal Justice. I had to drop out because I just couldn't do it. It was too much.
You were working to support yourself and everything.
Yeah, exactly. And on top of that, I had to pay for school. I had to pay for books. It was a crazy time in my life.
So did you have I guess, inclination at that point that you'd be able to make it hustling up here? Like, did you have any reason to think this is a waste of time spending all this money on school? I could go upstate and just start doing whatever to.
Yeah, I mean, it was like an eye opening to me because first I saw the price of real estate up here compared to New York City, and I was like, yeah, I think I can do this. And so I moved up here. I got like a job at a call center, and I was like couch surfing on my aunt's couch for the first 2 months, and then I got an apartment. Then I got married. Yeah, so I got married. So my wife moved up here with me, and yeah, eventually we bought it.
So were you dating her at the time when you came up here?
Correct.
And she stayed down there?
Yeah, we were actually engaged.
And how did she feel about that?
Oh,
at first?
she was heartbroken, man. She was pissed off.
But did you kind of preface it with like, hey, you're going to be coming up here eventually?
it was a tough transition, but she understood that the reason for it was because I wanted a better future for us, and it just wasn't. It was going to take maybe 3 times as much effort in New York City than it would have taken up here.
So how does she feel about it now, looking back?
She loves it, man. We own 2 properties here, and she does her own business. She does nails, and she does wax. She does the eyebrows. That's her thing. But yeah, and what happened was what really what really solidified everything was when most of my family left the Bronx and they moved up here. So the majority of my family actually lives up here, and which is awesome, man. It's such a blessing.
So you guys just all relocated and found a better,
man.
more simple place to do it.
Yeah, and my mom, I mean, she was paying God knows how much on rent out there, and now she owns 6 houses here in Utica.
That's amazing.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
So you guys are building the real estate empire up here.
Yeah, man. We're trying to build a portfolio, see if we could pass it along for generational wealth.
So are there things that you guys miss about the city?
Just the food, really. And a lot of my wife's family still lives out there. So we don't get to see her father, her mother, her sister, as much as we really want to. And now with the COVID-19, it's become even harder. So we don't know when's the next time we'll see them.
That's it's crazy to hear because a lot of people up here grow up here and all they want to do is leave small town.
Yeah.
Let me go live in Manhattan, let me move to the West Coast, and
Yeah.
hearing it from somebody coming from the opposite perspective, it's always funny that
Yeah.
you love being up here. So
I love it,
I
man.
guess it's just a case of you always want what you can't have kind of deal.
Yeah, I guess so, man. And I'm glad that I started off in New York City and then I came up here, because what happens is that same hustle that comes from New York City followed me here. So now I have a great opportunity of just like expanding myself, renovating myself, just creating new things. And Utica is just the right spot.
Yeah.
It's not too big, it's not too small. The community is great, just like even meeting you here is phenomenal.
Definitely, like you get elements of a city while also having the advantages of like low congestion and more of a you guys get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, and the fact that we live so close to like the Adirondacks, I love going out there, man. Hiking, it's It's beautiful.
Definitely.
Shout out to the Upstate experience, man, because
Johnny Quest. Huh?
definitely put me on.
Yeah, you're not getting any of that in living in the Bronx. So.
No, nothing.
So do you think you'd ever want to, if you, hypothetically, you're 40, you get rich, you got resources to spend money on a crazy apartment, would you ever want to go? Would you ever want to go back to the city?
Probably, probably. But in reality, I would consider more California than anything else. This whole videography thing has really spiked interest in me, and I'm thinking, you know what, maybe Cali might be a good option.
That'd be dope. Mm-hmm. Do you and the wife have plans of raising a child here, or is there?
Yeah, so we're planning to have kids hopefully by next year, and yeah, I mean we'll raise the child up here, but the thing is that I hate the cold. I really hate the cold, man, and so I've spoken to her several times. Like, listen, we need to figure this out. We need to go somewhere where it's a bit warmer.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So, looking back on the journey now, do you feel at peace being up here and established now compared to where you were, say, five years ago in the city? And what is it meant to you just to be able to own property and be able to come up here and do whatever you want?
You know, it's just life changing because you're always on that constant stress of bills. You don't get to live really your life. And just being up here, being able to own property, being able to have other people pay for your mortgage, so that you don't have to worry about, where's the next paycheck gonna come in. And you know what's crazy? Being able to build that foundation really helped us manage the stress of this time, of COVID-19, because people are, most of my tenants are still paying rent, like for the properties that I own, and I don't have to worry about where am I gonna get the next paycheck for the mortgage. And so that's been such a stress reliever. But yeah, man, I'm really glad I made this decision. I made this move. Sometimes I wonder, like, maybe I could have made it even bigger in New York City, but I really like it up here, man.
Yeah, you got plenty of time to, if you ever wanted to expand that way and go after property down there. How many properties are you responsible for in total up here?
So right now we manage 32 doors. That's 32 apartments that I personally manage through the company Hobart Property Management. But other than that, my wife and I, we own a fourplex. So we actually live in one of the apartments and we rent the other 3. And then we own a single family home on the side, Whitesboro. That one is rented as well. So, we're just trying to build our portfolio. We're trying to do early retirement. Yeah.
You'll never retire early though.
I don't think so.
Maybe retire from like a day-to-day grind, but you always have some hustle going on.
Yeah, I know.
I think that's the goal for anyone, like entrepreneur mindset. Like,
yeah, it's true. What I really want is to be able to take up a month of work and being able to afford it, and being not have somebody on my back telling me you can't take off that month, so. But what about you, bro? Like you had a job and then you went on your own. How was that transition?
It's definitely really different in the sense that you don't have that. Obviously, you don't have the day-to-day routine of get up, drive to an office, like be there 8 to 5, whatever the deal might be. So it's more flexible for sure, obviously, but it's different kinds of stresses. I guess when you're working for a company, you have stresses that you feel like you're not really in control of a lot of time. Like I had 9 employees under me at one point, and like I didn't think I had a whole lot of influence on the culture of my group. I didn't always have the support of those above me, so I kind of had to deal with things with gloves sometimes, and I didn't have like complete control over things I wanted to. So like that was always stressful. But now it's more like everything's on you. Like you have no excuses, nowhere to hide.
You're
So if I have a problem, like I'm not making the progress I want to, I have no one to turn to but myself.
It's at the end of the day, it's like your fault, and you're the captain of your own ship now.
100%. And I've tried to embrace that extreme ownership
It's
kind
scary.
of mentality.
It's scary.
It's like it's the best and the worst thing in the world.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
There's a certain level of peace that comes with knowing that you're in control, but there's a certain level of discomfort that comes with knowing that you're in control, right?
Yeah, no.
Because I think about like my output at a 9-to-5 job. Like here I am making a nice salary, more money than I need, and what I'm doing then compared to like the amount of time and effort and stress that I have now is like not even close.
Yeah.
Like I'm doing so much less. It's so much more of a laid back atmosphere. I'm working for a government contractor where my salary's been funded for years to come already. Right?
Yeah.
So
Wow.
it's like just the nature of earning $1 of salary today versus then is a lot different.
That's
so
awesome, man.
it definitely pushes you forward though. I think I grew pretty stagnant. I kind of had a big head thinking, I go to school, I finish grad school, I have an MBA, like I'm in this position making a nice salary. It was kind of like a coast mentality almost. Like now I've kind of humbled myself to go back to zero.
Yeah.
And obviously I saved a lot of money. And
So
I
you
had
have
some
an
questions.
MBA?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So I do, and it's funny because now like most of the things I'm doing, people would be like, "Oh, well, this dude has an MBA. Like, what's he doing? Why isn't he working for some big company and making a nice paycheck?" But I already went that route, and I know that it's not necessarily what I want. And maybe one day it will be. Like I don't know. I'm taking it more.
Hey, but you know what? You have that in your on the back.
Definitely.
Like, if you ever really need to go back and get a job, then
For sure.
you could do
like
it.
Tomorrow, if I woke up and said I'm done worrying about all these things and building a business, like let me just go collect the salary, even if I take a slight pay cut from when I went, where I was before. Like life is long. And we're young.
Yeah.
There's no reason to rush decisions to meet these, I guess, arbitrary deadlines.
That we place on ourselves, really.
So that's kind of been my experience so far, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. Like even if I were to quote unquote fail at this, like I've learned so much already, and I know going back into a new position today, I would be a much better employee just because how entrepreneur quest for self-improvement, become more disciplined. Like
exactly.
I'd be able to better handle stresses and different situations at work. So
It's funny, the other day I was talking to my wife about this, that this August we're gonna have 2 years with property management, that I created a company, and that's 2 years of me being unemployed and just like being able to like month to month,
and you're still here,
and I'm still here.
You made it work.
You know what I'm saying? Like when you think about it like that, you're like, wow, 2 years ago I would have been stressed out, like I don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, just even the whole property management aspect of everything, I had to figure it out from like day zero. You know, like I picked up a phone call one day and I was like, you know what, I'm doing this. And I contacted one of the guys that I know that has one of the largest portfolios of properties here in Utica, and I had asked him, hey, are you looking for a property manager? And he's like, yes. So that same day, he was like, come to my office. I said,
first
guy. Kid you not, bro. I go, we get the meeting set up, we talk business, we talk numbers, boom, deal. I didn't have an LOC, I didn't have a concept, I didn't even know what I was doing. He was just like, okay, man, so this is my portfolio, these are all the properties that I currently manage, and I'll pay you 10% for you to do everything. From there, I had to look at all of the accountings for the previous months. I had to look at all of the tenants, what was missing, build a chart. I mean, it was...
What made you go that route in the first place? Like what made you pick property management over?
Yeah, so what happened was I purchased this fourplex, right? And I didn't want to manage it. I didn't want to deal with tenants, and I didn't know how to at first. And shout out to the Bigger Pockets podcast, Bigger Pockets on YouTube too, because they have some great content out there. And so I didn't even know how to write a lease, And so I remember I contacted this local property management company, and they were charging me outrageous fees, a full month of rent to find a tenant, and also 15% to manage the property. That it was outrageous when you looked at the numbers. And so I realized, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not just the only person who's having this issue. There's a huge community of just Dominicans who are moving from New York City, who are buying properties here in Utica, and they're all gonna need a property manager eventually. So that's how I eventually started building my portfolio. I manage properties for people who live in New York City, people who live in the Dominican Republic, people who live here in Utica, all sorts, and yeah, that's how it started.
So how many different properties are under, like, you have under your belt? You said you have them at different geographic locations, but is there one, like, you have one major building in Utica that
The
has
biggest
like
building that
20,
I have
20
is
units or something?
no, actually the biggest building I have only has 6.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then the rest of them they're varied between 4, 3s, and 2s, and then I have a couple of single families.
How do you deal with, I guess, tenant problems in, New York City and getting rent? Like,
Yeah,
they pay online, or they send you a check?
Yeah, so we now we've since March we've officially started the transition of putting everything electronically. But before that, it was a whole transition really. I had to figure out how to like get a PO box. I had to figure out how to write even receipts. For sometimes I would just go to the apartments, collect the cash and things like that. But in regards to like tenant problems, to be honest, they just call me. They call me if the toilet is broken, then I get a somebody who can repair it. If it's an electrical problem, if it's like the other day I made a video of like the sewers were overflowing in a basement.
Yeah.
And there was little like shit on the floor, and I had to figure out how to.
That was up here?
That was here.
Okay.
That was like a few days ago, and it's just like it's all about problem solving really, and like how to be able to connect the two people.
Yeah.
But really, the biggest thing is just being able to pass information as fast as possible.
Yeah. So do you have like a bench of different types of, I guess, service workers that you have in the city that if you there's an electrical problem, let me call.
Yep.
Boom.
I've been able to build the list
Yeah.
throughout the 2 years that we've been in service. I have licensed electricians, licensed plumbers, inspectors. I have a good rapport with the Section 8 office. I have a good rapport with the county office, and so like I try to build those connections as much as possible. But sometimes you still get those bad apples with bad tenants, bad landlords as well. So it's a struggle because you're really the middleman.
Yeah.
Between the owner and the.
So you must take a lot of grief at times. And
Yeah, I take a lot of shit, man. Like, but it's all good. I've learned to just like embrace it. At first, I remember like the first 6 months, I was like, what did I get myself into? Like, I don't need to do any of this. I could just go and get a job, and I don't need to deal with this kind of stress, man. But it's worth it.
Yeah, there's definitely a reward in being your own boss and being able to do things on your own terms, even if that means 12 or 15 hours a day instead.
Yeah, man, or just like getting that 3 a.m. phone call. I remember I got a 3 a.m. phone call that the tenant had left the oven on, so the carbon monoxide was all over the fire department showed up, and I had to wait there for National Grid, and it was a mess.
Do you have any plans of hiring anyone to help you at some point?
I do. I think, but in reality, I'm a huge fan of the 4-hour work week. I want to see if I met this guy who he's a property manager for properties in Florida, but he lives here. So I'm trying to beat that guy.
And he just hires everything out?
And he just hires everything out. I'm trying to beat that guy. I'm trying to be...
Well, you already are in a way with properties in New York.
Sort of, really. But
it's still you who's finding the person.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, yeah, but, it's just... I try to figure out what's the best way to make everything virtually, Yeah. Like, how is it possible for me to find a tenant? Is it possible for me to have somebody else show the property? Is it possible for me to not be nowhere.
But how do you do all that in like a cost-effective way?
Yeah, exactly.
Because you could pay for anything. It's just, is it gonna still make you money?
Right now the only person that I really pay is I have an intern that works for me. She manages the social media aspect. So if I have an apartment, I'll post it on Facebook, and she'll manage the conversations. So she'll pre-screen them. She'll set up the scheduling, and then I just show up, and then she gets a cut for every apartment that we rent.
So it's all commission based?
All commission based.
It's not a bad deal then.
Yeah, and she's young too, so she's just making extra money.
Yeah, I like that. So what do you see yourself? What do the next 5 years look like for you?
So 5 years, I'm gonna be 31. By the age of 30, I hope to maybe have grown this company pretty, substantially large. Hopefully about 200 apartments, and I hope to sell it. That's really my hope. I hope to sell it to a larger company, because it would be my first build company and then cash out kind of deal. And that's really my hope. That's where I would like to be, because I don't see myself doing property management for 10 years, so.
Have you thought about any, I guess through your experiences with property management and just like some of the pain points you've had, have you thought about any products or like software solutions that you could build to make property management easier, or like tools that people would need?
I think everything is out there already. Everything is out there. I just really have to find it. I remember I went to one of the meetings for the innovation collectives, and I had asked this question. I'm like, do you think that I should create a software where it helps me manage the properties better? And he's like, well, have you looked into the softwares that are already out there? And I told him, no, I haven't looked into it. And he's like, well, that's where you should start, because you maybe you don't need to create the entire wheel. The wheel's probably just been created, and you just gotta go find it.
Yeah, I would imagine. I'm just thinking there has to be an area where you could build almost like a complete suite of tools to give to people, or like a blueprint, like, hey, this is how you should manage properties. Yeah. Here's everything I use. Like, this is the blueprint. Like, adopt all these strategies, and you'll be able to do it from anywhere in the world. Or to build like a large company under that method, I guess.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So I'm sure there's a million possibilities, but do you have aspirations outside of just the properties you manage to build your own portfolio of properties also, right?
Yeah, I do plan to build my own portfolio of properties, and I would like to. I'm not too much of a fan now of houses. I think I'm gonna go with a condo next time, like for my own personal house. But
why do you say that?
Well, I just I hate shoveling snow. I hate shoveling snow. I hate, like, cutting the grass is okay, but everything, like, my mother always criticizes me about this. Like, I always try to figure out how I can pay somebody else to do something for me, because, like, even shoveling the snow, I get a guy to do it. Cutting my grass, I get some guy to do it. Everything, man. That, I guess, I don't know. I just don't want to do anything.
No, that's the entrepreneur way. If you could spend your time in a more valuable way, why would you spend an hour?
Like the other day, I paid some guy $25 to mow my lawn.
That's pretty normal though.
That would have taken me an hour, and I would have gotten my shoes dirty, and I would have had to sweat, man.
You had other stuff going on.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan, really, when it comes to property management. But between now and then, I hope to build like new products, new businesses, a lot of other things, because this is just one source of income. Mm-hmm. We need to have several. We need to have 5, 6, 7 sources of income.
No, we think a lot alike. I know you're always pursuing a million things.
Yeah,
I am too, and sometimes I'm a victim of doing too many things and not enough well, but at the same time, like, we're young, and why not try some different things?
Yeah, it's tough, because you have to balance out how much you can take on and also have a life. Like, also have some time to spend with your significant other, with your mom, with your brothers, cousins, whatever it might be.
Kid on the way for you. So.
Exactly, kid on the way. And so, but it's funny. I'm excited to have a kid. It's gonna be this whole, like, experiment for me. We're gonna document everything.
This kid's gonna be a beast.
Yeah, I imagine. I do plan to be a stay-home dad. That's always been my aspiration. Yeah.
Well, good thing you got a couple businesses that might allow you to do that.
Yeah, I know, man. Preparing myself for that.
Well, you've said in the past one of the main reasons you got into wanting to do your own thing. Wasn't there a moment where you missed something when you were still living in the city?
Yeah, man.
Like, I can't do this?
So my mom, I didn't want to go to college. I've always hated school, and my mom was the one who forced me to go to LaGuardia Community College. And I thank God for her, but she missed my graduation. And she missed my graduation because she had to work, and her boss didn't allow her to take that day off. And that happened, with me. It happened to my brother. It happened to I have several brothers. It happened to a couple of them where she couldn't make a graduation. And I remember I had moved up here from New York City. I was working at Bank of New York Mellon, and Samantha, my wife, was graduating college in New York City. And I requested that day off for me to go attend, and my manager told me that I couldn't go. And it was just like, I'm living the same life that my mom literally struggled with, that I can't even make I'm not even able to make attend special events because somebody else told me no, refused it, couldn't do it.
So you went anyway?
I didn't go because Samantha actually didn't choose to walk.
Okay.
She just got her diploma. But it was just like, it was one of those moments. It was an eye-opening moment. Like, why am I being controlled by this other person?
No.
It was so crazy.
I definitely feel that.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what happened. And from there, I just told myself, I was like, I have to work for myself. Whatever that looks like, however that looks like, I have to do it.
And 2 years later, you're still making it happen. I think about that a lot too sometimes. Like, I've been gone from the full-time job for like 14 months now, and
wow, congratulations.
I'm still surviving. I had a bunch of money saved going into my own business, so like that helped. But as an entrepreneur, you got to think about things day by day, month by month at times. Like, how do I? Of course, you want to plan a long-term vision and like really strive to get better over a long period of time. But you also got to be like nimble enough to think, if I could just make this happen, I'm good for another month.
Yeah, even the day by day kind of situation, like figure out how much you have to spend a month and then break that down by day. Like how much money you gotta make per day to meet.
I know you're big on doing those kind of calculations.
Yeah.
But
I have to figure out, like I have to make like $150 a day to make sure I'm good. Anything beyond that is like gravy.
But your latest venture, well, you've been doing it for a little while, but you've been more active lately, is you're doing a lot more vlogging, building a lot more content around what you do with property management and real estate. How has that been going the last
It's been
weeks?
going, it's fun because, it's a new skill that I'm learning, which is being able to see, being able to walk anywhere in anywhere really, and being able to see a scene in your eyes, and being able to record that, put that into an entire video, being able to project a message through videography is something that I've never done before. We have a podcast, we have social media and things like that, but I've never done video, and it's something that I've always wanted to do in regards to YouTube. So I wrote myself 5-year goals, and one of them was do YouTube for 5 years, do real estate for 5 years, and that's it. Those are like the two biggest things that are on my plate right now, and I'm doing them, and see where that takes me.
I love it. Do you get something out of the vlogging and the documenting, other than like straight not that you're gonna make any money anytime soon, or even that you care about that, but do you get a certain reward? Like, doesn't it feel good to?
Yeah, man, it feels amazing. It just shout out to you, by the way, because you recommended me the Creative Calling, and I read it, and it was life changing, man. It was such a great book, and he said it. He's like, create it, post it, and that's it.
And just figure it out after.
And that's it.
Like, I'm starting to see that same thing now. It's like, if you were to wait until you were 100% ready to do anything, you'd never do it.
Never.
So I'm more about the incremental progress, and I don't think anybody started out with a complete picture of where they were going.
Never.
And you look at all the top creators in the world today, like, they started somewhere, and
and then eventually got better.
Of course, you know, now when Gary Vee or Chase Jarvis or Tim Ferriss launches something, they have a full toolkit of resources on the ready, but that's not how it started. And if you want to get to that level, you gotta ship before you're ready at some point.
Yeah, man. I mean, Gary Vee started off in like some little room drinking wine.
So, and a lot of these things, I don't think people understand that a lot of these things translate. So even if like it's not YouTube that is the thing that makes you popular or that you end up getting some traction with, and it's not even real estate, like, you've learned this process of creating, and like later on you're going to be that much quicker to be able to create something in a new avenue. Man. So I think that's something that people forget about.
I went from taking in like maybe 2 to 3 days to finish a video. Now I can do it in maybe 24 hours, 48 the most, you know. But all of that came from, you know, I'm on number 8 on the vlog, like the vlogs that I've done, and you know, it just keeps getting faster and faster and faster and faster. And you know, as I continue to experiment, like I did the vlog number 6 was just all video and then a background audio of me talking. Never done that before. That was all new, and that what that does is that it allows you to branch out into what could be, right? If you never tried it, then you'll never know.
Definitely. So, and you're probably learning new tricks and, you know, ways to optimize and speed things up every time you do it. So
yeah, sometimes I'll see a scene in my head, and I'll be like, you know what, that looks better going backwards, like being rewind. I like that, going slow motion, drop that beat right there, and so.
And these are all skills that you could transfer and apply directly to like specific businesses you're working on too. So now you have the skill set to make videos for your properties, for other things too, outside of your personal brand. So I think people look at this very narrow-minded, like, why are these guys wasting their time videoing things and having a podcast that nobody might be listening to yet? But you got to start. Yeah. And these are all skills that are going to, in some way, benefit us down the road. You know, who knows what this connection might turn into 10 years from now, because we recorded this. And, you know, if all else fails, at least we have this documented on video. We can look back at one day. Yeah. So that's how I look at it. I try not to, I see so many people that are like so judgmental for people trying to do things. And I'm always like, anyone that's really on somebody for trying to put something out there has to have less going on in their life. Like,
you know, and what has really liberated me is that I really, so when somebody gives me good advice or good feedback, both good and bad feedback, I take both of them in, but I don't take them personally. Yeah. So even the people who are telling me, great job, Joel, you know, you're doing a great job, like, I just say thank you. Yes. I appreciate that. But that's it.
I love that.
You know, like, I thank you so much. I appreciate you for sharing, you know, looking at my content. That's it. That I don't bring that home. I don't think about that when I'm recording my next video. I just focus on what I'm doing and just like seeing what's next.
That's such a great way to look at it, because I think that helps you, looking at it from both sides of the spectrum, helps you to not take in those negative comments, because you know they don't really know anything about you. And same deal when you hear people praising you, like, you know that they're not seeing your flaws. They're not seeing how many things you messed up. So, you know, take it for what it is and appreciate it. Let it maybe motivate you a little bit, but don't take it for gold, like, I've made it now. Like,
because you know what happens is that the next video comes up and
could be terrible.
Not only that, but nobody's gonna comment. Nobody's gonna hit a like, and you're just gonna crash because you're feeding off of that vibration of other people.
Probably the best example, and I know you like Gary Vee as well, he always says, if I died tomorrow, nobody would care. He's like, there'd be 2 weeks of people posting things on Instagram and he was the GOAT, and maybe once a year they'd look back, but like, equally as much as everybody praises me, nobody cares about me. And like if he's saying that, then like think about the equivalent for us.
Yeah, exactly.
Things happen all the time, and good or bad, and we're so fast, and as a society, we're on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
So to like really, and that's kind of sad in a way, but it's also liberating in the way that like nobody actually cares about you.
Nobody cares, man.
Like
nobody cares, and it's okay. It's okay that nobody cares because you're just living your life. You're just living your life, and you know what? Just put it out there. You know, there's that people want to connect.
yes,
You know, people want to connect, and the more you connect with other people, the more, you know. I like to look at other people's content, and I like to really give them positive feedback. You know, because they might need that. You know what I'm saying? And but just people want to connect. People want to just be heard. People want to have new friends.
and we have all these tools so readily available to do it now. Why not take advantage of it?
Yeah.
So yeah, I try to keep that perspective. Like, imagine if Steve Jobs could have done this when creating Apple, 30 years ago. Imagine if we could have seen the things that were happening when some of the biggest companies in the world were built on video and document. Like you get very limited looks at Jeff Bezos talking about Amazon, but imagine if he did a daily blog every day from the time he started Amazon till today. Like imagine the wisdom that would be found in that journey. So I try to like think about that if I, on my own journey as an entrepreneur, to record as much of this as I can, just to be able to like look back one day, and even if it's just for me and nobody's listening. Like,
yeah, man. And you know what? The other day I was talking to my mother about my grandfather, that I wanted to do this project for him, like get a couple of videos, get a couple of pictures and things like that. And I asked her, I'm like, hey, do we have any footage of him when he was a kid? She's like, no, there's nothing. There's no pictures, there's no videos, there's nothing. And I'm like, okay, what am I gonna show my kids?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? How am I going to introduce my kids to their great-grandfather, who might have already passed away by the time they're born? You know what I'm saying? And so, like, all of that needs to be recorded. Not just your experience of your own life, but, like, everyone's experience should be recorded. Eventually, we'll just have it somewhere in the cloud.
It is crazy to think about, though, like that example you just gave. There's been thousands of years of human history that have very little documentation, right? But from this point forward, assuming like a normal trajectory of how society works, there's going to be generational knowledge for families to look back on, and that's kind of something that's unprecedented. So it'd be so weird to think different. Like, oh, my grandkid or my great-grandchild is going to have tons of material on their grandfather, their great-grandfather, even my father.
Yeah.
So it is crazy to think about. It's really cool. But all right, I know you got somewhere to be in a little while, so I'm gonna start wrapping it up and ask you a few of the rapid fire kind of questions I've been asking everybody that's come on the pod. What are you streaming right now, if anything, for entertainment during quarantine?
Oh, streaming? That's a good question. Rick and Morty. One of my favorite ones. For entertainment, I've been doing a lot of audiobooks, because I wanna get into that. I have like a huge list of audiobooks, and I've gone through a whole bunch of them, but I want to get more of that. Other than that, I don't do a lot of entertainment. I rarely listen to music. Sometimes I'll watch YouTube, but now it's just like work.
Or like business related content.
Yeah, business related. I had to give away my PS4 because I wasn't using it. I gave it to my brother, and yeah, man, it's a lot of things that I had to give up.
What are some of the best books you've either listened to or read lately?
Some Creative Calling by, what's his name?
Chase Jarvis.
Chase Jarvis is definitely top one on the charts right now. The Richest Man in Babylon, highly recommended if you want to learn anything about personal finance. I don't know, if some people have some times in their hands, go for the audiobooks of Harry Potter. They're amazing, man. They're phenomenal.
I've read every book as a kid. I've never listened to the audio.
Oh my god, they're amazing, bro. They even give them like little accents, British accents. It's phenomenal.
So that's like your one, I guess, nonfiction or your one fiction release, kind of.
Yeah, that and Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones, the book of Game of Thrones on audiobooks is really good.
I've watched the whole show and read a little bit of the books, but I've never listened to the audio.
Check it out, man. Check out even just the first one.
That's cool, man. If there was one piece of advice, personal, business, whatever, that you could leave anyone listening to this with, what would that be?
Put
you on the spot real quick.
That's a good one. I guess the main thing is that just know that you matter. You know that you are an essence on this earth. You are energy on this earth, and that you can actually make a difference. It doesn't necessarily have to impact everyone on this earth, but having a positive impact on 1, 2, 3 people, and use these platforms, use the podcast, use the videography, bring out your message, bring out the message of positivity. As Gary Vee always says now, like everything's about positivity and empathy, and that's where the world is going, man. We're getting rid of hate little by little.
I think that's great advice. I would have to agree with you. The model is changing, and it's no longer about the things that you would think of a traditional successful person. They don't really matter as much today. The whole script is flipped. But Joel, I want to thank you for being on.
It's been a
I'll give
pleasure.
you a chance to plug all your social media right now. Where can we find you online?
Yeah, so you guys can find me on IG, the JR Experience, podcast, the JR Experience. I started the YouTube channel Jay the Creator, and you guys can find me anywhere, everywhere. Contact me if you guys are looking for a house shoe. I can hook you guys up. Take care.
Yeah, they can't keep up to me when I'm doing my thing. They can't keep up with me when I'm in the fast lane. They can't keep up with me, they can't keep up with me. They can't keep up with me, they got my song on repeat. They can't keep up with me.